Hello, this is Hoopy Guilo at Hoopy Geeks, and we are moving chronologically through my Blu-ray and DVD collection. And we're whizzing into 1925 with The Paper Hanger's Helper. This is an Oliver Hardy film and directed by Ward Hayes. This can be seen on the Laurel and Hardy Collection, Volume 1. I have given this a 5 out of 10, and I've written down more well-used physical comedy, very similar to Laurel and Hardy films, not a bad silent short. The next film is Wizard of Oz. From 1925, this is a Larry Semen film with Oliver Hardy. Dorothy Dwan plays Dorothy in this film, and incidentally she was Larry Semen's fiancée at the time, and they would marry shortly after the release of this film. Spencer Bell reappears in this one, who was, of course, first black comic actor. And this is directed by Larry Semen. This was a part of the Laurel and Hardy collection, but it was a standalone release. This is actually the second version of Wizard of Oz to be made. The first was made in 1910. The one we're the most familiar with is actually the fourth cinematic version of Wizard of Oz, with a animated Canadian version being made in the 1930s. I have given this a 3 out of 10, and I've written down, this isn't a good film, but it does have good moments, a good cast, good to see Belle in quite a prominent role. The lightning and fly effects are primitive but good. Too long! Exclamation mark. The next film in my collection is Hop to It, Bellhop. This is available on the Laurel and Hardy Collection, Volume 3, and I've given this a 5 out of 10. I've written down some humorous moments. Bobby Ray and Oliver Hardy feel like prototype Laurel and Hardy, but not as pleasant to each other. The next film is Yes, Yes, Nanette. This is a James Finlayson film, but this time he's appearing with Oliver Hardy. This was actually directed by Clarence Hennock and Stan Laurel. So Stan Laurel is directing Oliver Hardy in this film, but they're not appearing together. And this is the second time Laurel and Hardy have worked together, although they're not appearing on screen together. Once again, this is on the Laurel and Hardy Collection, Volume 3. I have given this a 5 out of 10, and I have written down, Finlayson is quite good. The wig joke is funny, but not much else. Passes 10 minutes. The next film is Cut It Out. This one is momentous because this is the earliest British-made movie I have in my collection. This one is available on the Silent Britain DVD. I've given this a 5 out of 10, and I've written down, this British silent comedy seems oddly modern. It has a post-modern view of the censorship system that films of this era had to adhere to. A couple of gags and nice shots, but nothing spectacular. The next film is Should Sailors Marry? This one is available on the Laurel and Hardy Collection, Volume 2. I've given this a 5 out of 10, and I've written down a few comic moments, but the silent comedies are very repetitive. The next film is The Eagle. This is another Rudolph Valentino film and is an historical romantic film. So I've given this a 7 out of 10, which is another very good score. It's certainly the best of the second half of the 1920s, and I've written down a really good silent movie. Valentino shows sincerity and humour in his acting. The humour works and is fitting with the tone of the film. A romance with a little extra. So we're still getting this comic streak in these films. So another film that I would never have bought myself, but I was given as a gift, and quite glad that I was. The next film is Enough to Do. This is on the Laurel and Hardy Collection, Volume 4. I've only given this a 3 out of 10. And I have written, this has been cut from the original length, and the end is sudden. It just feels like watching a typical silent comedy. Nothing to make it stand out above the rest. Next film is Thundering Fleas. This is available on the Laurel and Hardy Collection, Volume 6. I have given this a 3 out of 10, and I've written down, some fleas escape, people scratch. Oliver Hardy loses his trousers and paints some new ones on his legs. That's pretty much it. The next film is Along Came Auntie. This one is on the Laurel and Hardy Collection, Volume 4. I have given this a 4 out of 10. And I've written down another mildly entertaining silent comedy. Hardy does his turns to camera and at times feels like the Laurel and Hardy character. Mostly another long fight. Not bad for a tired era. Next film is Crazy Like a Fox and is on the Laurel and Hardy Collection Volume 3. This is a 6 out of 10. This is the best Hal Roach Studios film so far. I've written down a funny short featuring Charlie Chase and one that works quite well. Few laughs, but there is a likability in the performances that makes this stand out above some silence. The next film is Romeo and Juliet. This one is on the Laurel and Hardy Collection Volume 4. I have given this another 3 out of 10. Oh dear. Not great. Charlie Chase gets drunk and gets chased by Hardy and some police. Nothing really new here. The next film is On the Front Page. This is on Volume 4 of Laurel and Hardy Collection. This one I have given a 5 out of 10. And I've written, it's not bad, pretty standard silent comedy. Stan is acting more like his Laurel and Hardy persona and even uses the familiar whimper. Still not a great movie. The next film is The General. This I have on the Buster Keaton Collection Volume 1 DVD. This has been re-released on Blu-ray. This is on my list of films to buy. This I've given a 7 out of 10, but in actuality I think it's higher. I think it doesn't work as well because of the audio that accompanies it. I've seen it since and I think it might get an upgrade in score. Very famous Buster Keaton film. It's the one where he's on the front of the train. I've written down one of Keaton's best. Some well-planned and impressive to watch stunts. The next film is 1927. This is Metropolis. It's a German film. Fritz Lang, very famous director, did some really good films. This is on the Metropolis Ultimate Collector's Edition Blu-ray. I've given this a 9 out of 10. My review for this film is surprisingly brilliant silent film, filled with great imagery in a dystopian future. The next film is The Lodger, a story of the London fog. This is very, very momentous in my collection because this was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. This is a thriller, which Hitchcock will obviously become famous for. I have given this a 10 out of 10. This is hands down the best film in my collection so far. And I've written down an engaging and taut thriller from Hitch, a classic. Without doubt the best silent movie I have seen. Sadly, I only own this on VHS that I have recorded off the TV. It was available on DVD and on Blu-ray from Network, who released a lot of old films. However, the company folded. They don't exist anymore. So getting hold of this on DVD and Blu-ray is quite hard at the time of recording. And that's really annoying because I can't really play VHS very easily anymore. The next film is Crazy to Act. I've given this a 3 out of 10 and my review for this is a movie about making a movie that goes wrong. This film feels cut. Checking the USA runtime, it seems it has been shortened. Nothing special here. So this is the one I've got on the Laurel and Hardy Collection Volume 4. Like I said, these are super cheap DVDs, so it's very likely these 10-minute films are somehow truncated, cut versions of these films for whatever reason. And again, another reason for me to buy the Laurel and Hardy silent movie Blu-ray that has recently been released. The next film is Fluttering Hearts from 1927 on the Laurel and Hardy Volume 4 collection. I have given this a 6 out of 10. I've written down a good silent. Starts a bit dull and familiar, but the dance and Hardy's flirting with the doll is genius and funny. Worth the 6 out of 10 rating for this scene alone. And this DVD actually has a special feature, which is the American This Is Your Life Laurel and Hardy episode. The next film in my collection is College. This is a Buster Keaton film. This was on the Buster Keaton Volume 1 DVD. And I have given this an 8 out of 10. but I've not written a review for it. That's disappointing. The next film is The Ring. This is a romantic sport film. This is available on the early Alfred Hitchcock Collection DVD. This is a 9-disc set. I've given this a 5 out of 10. And my review is an early Hitchcock has some amazing effects for such an old film. Not a memorable Hitchcock film, but certainly impressive for its style. His early films weren't really thrillers that he would become famous for, and he was very much trying different genres, and a lot of these early films don't work very well, apart from The Lodger, which I give it a 10 out of 10, is brilliant. A lot of these early British films aren't that good. The next film is The Circus, and we're back with Charlie Chaplin in 1928. This is available on the Charlie Chaplin Blu-ray collection. I've given this a 5 out of 10, and I've written down an OK Chaplin film where the tramp joins the circus. As usual, some good sight gags. The next film, we're going back to the British film industry for Shooting Stars, released in 1928. This is a romantic thriller. This is available on the Shooting Stars Blu-ray from BFI. I've given this a 6 out of 10, and I've written down interesting British-made silent movie about an actress having an affair. It's a good film and a good alternative to the Hays Code regulated Hollywood films. Key close-ups remind me of Hitchcock's Notorious. So there's a bit of an inaccuracy there in that I'm wrong. I'm wrong in my review. Good alternative to the Hays Code regulated Hollywood film. In actual fact, the Hays Code hasn't come into full force in the United States yet. It has been presented, but it's up to local states whether they enforce the Hays Code. I will do a special at some point looking at the Hays Code, so I will go into more depth if you don't know what that is at a later date. The next film, we're remaining in Britain from 1928. This is The Farmer's Wife, another Alfred Hitchcock film, also available on the early Alfred Hitchcock collection. I've given this a 5 out of 10, and I've written down an amusing Hitchcock film about a farmer looking for a wife. Seems it was based on a play, so the adaptation to silent cinema works well despite a few over-the-top performances. So this is a romantic comedy that Hitchcock did. Again, not the thrillers he would become famous for. So, shortly before this film, America had released The Jazz Singer, which would introduce sound to the cinema, and silent movies would gradually be phased out, and very quickly in some instances. At the moment, we don't have any talkies. We're still in the silent era. The next film is Steamboat Bill Jr. This was available on the Buster Keaton Collection Volume 3 DVD. I've not written a review. I've not given it anything out of 10. I need to rewatch this film. I need to buy this film on DVD for better quality. The next film is Champagne from 1928. This is an Alfred Hitchcock film, and he's doing a comedy drama this time, available on the early Alfred Hitchcock collection. This is a 4 out of 10. I've written down historically interesting for the late 20s, high living, but not especially engrossing film. The next film is The Manxman. We are remaining with Alfred Hitchcock. 80 minutes long romantic drama. Available on the early Alfred Hitchcock collection. This is a 5 out of 10. Typical romance film, and not terrible, but an odd choice for Hitchcock. This is Days of Youth, 1929. This is Otsu Yasujiro's very first film in my collection and the very first Japanese movie in my collection. I own this because when I was studying film, I saw Otsu's films, really liked his later films, so wanted just to collect his entire movie collection. Not quite achieved. There's a few I've not yet found. So this is present on the Otsu collection, The Student Comedies, by the BFI release. I had originally bought this on Region 3 DVD Otsu collection from Hong Kong. I gave this film a 6 out of 10, and I've written, overlong for a silent movie, and oddly, there is no background music. However, good comic moments keep the film entertaining. Once again, my review is wrong. The No background music exists on the Hong Kong Region 3 DVD. The BFI Blu-ray does have a music score. My next film is 1929, Piccadilly. We're back in British films. This stars Anna May Wong. Anna May Wong was probably the first big Chinese-American star. So we've seen one of the first black actors with Spencer Bell, who made an impact as a comedy actor. Anna May Wong was the first female Chinese-American actress who made an impact in cinema. Both Spencer Bell and Anna May Wong were stereotyped due to their nationality. Anna May Wong did a lot of Hollywood films before this in the silent era, but she got tired of the typecasting and she moved to Europe because they gave her roles that she wasn't getting in Hollywood at the time. This is a romantic drama, a silent movie released on the Piccadilly DVD by BFI. I've given this an 8 out of 10. My review is a beautifully shot film that is impressive for 1929. Wong is gorgeous and her subtle acting style stands out. Equally impressive is the subject matter of cross-racial relationships. The next film is Black Male, and this is an Alfred Hitchcock film. This is available on the early Alfred Hitchcock collection. This is the talkie version of the film. However, I am aware that the silent version of the film does exist on one of the Hitchcock Blu-ray or DVD releases. So that is one that I would like to track down just to actually see the differences. A special feature on this DVD is the original silent version of the knife scene. I've given this film a 5 out of 10. And I have written Quite Good Hitchcock and his first talkie, which had been a silent film originally. So he did it as a silent film and he redid it as a talkie. So Black Male is the first talkie that I have in my collection. The next film is The Coconuts, which is the next talkie in my collection, the first Hollywood talkie, the earliest Hollywood talkie I own. This is in my collection because this stars the Marx Brothers. This is a comedy musical. This is available on the Marx Brothers DVD collection. I believe this has had a Blu-ray update. I have given this a 7 out of 10. I have written some really funny scenes, balanced with music and dance and some slow scenes where the humour doesn't work. Overall, a nice start to the Marx Brothers film career. And what better way to start the talkie era in my collection than the Marx Brothers, who are, especially Groucho Marx, very fast talking, very quick quips, which they perfected in theatre like a lot of the actors of the era. They all started in theatre. The next film is Back to Japan. This is I Graduated, but this is another Otsu Yasujiro film. This is available on the Student Comedies DVD, which is part of BFI's Otsu collection, which again I believe are getting Blu-ray updates. This is a short because this is the only surviving footage of the film. I have given this a 6 out of 10, and I've written down, it's fortunate that a story can be made from so little surviving material. The story jumps around a lot, but the subtitles fill in the missing narrative well. Not very memorable though, and Otsu's style is not yet present. So like Hitchcock, he's still finding his feet, still finding his way. The next film is also 1929. This is A Straightforward Boy, also an Otsu film. This is available on BFI's Otsu collection, The Gangster Films. I gave this a 6 out of 10, written down an enjoyable short. It's quite lucky that what remains still makes sense, as it was hard to see what was missing, hardly up there with Otsu's best. And that ends the 1920s. So next week, our overview, and after that 1930s with my movie collection. So yeah, thank you very much for watching and listening. Please share your opinions down below. Have you seen any of these 1920s films? Thank you very much for watching, and as always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night. And I will say as always, Joy Gin.